Hey friends, it's Tracy. I have finished my apple pickin' time apple project. Now, I shared part one of this yesterday on my Craft Round the Clock segment, and I so appreciate so many people joining me. But since I was on my Craft Round the Clock segment, I have 45 minutes to do my craft, and I needed to put the finishing touches on. So that's what I'm sharing in this video. To kind of catch you up to speed, if you didn't see part one, I will have it linked in the description box below and in the iCard so that you can get caught up if you would like to see in real time how I created this. Just real quick, for the apples, I'm using 2 leftover pumpkins from Dollar Tree. I just took off the stems in that raffia because I'm not going to use those. I'm going to put my own stems on there. And then for the actual 12 by 12 like window that I'm considering my window, what I used is a 12 by 12 canvas. I just took off the canvas, and then I'm going to show in this video I just added some antique wax just to give it some color. And to remove the staples, I found an upholstery staple remover. I got it off of Amazon. It is linked in my Amazon favorites. You can find that in my link tree in the description box if that's something you're interested in. Or I did recently see one over in the Walmart craft sewing section, and they may have it at other places as well. And then for the chicken wire, I pulled out some chicken wire that I had on hand for a little bit. I did get this over at Walmart. It is rustic farmhouse chicken wire. And even though it's rusty, it wasn't like, came off on my hands or anything like that. So I just stapled that to the back of that 12 by 12 wood frame. All right. So then for the little window box, I'm just using a leftover sign from the Dollar Tree as well. All right. So for my pumpkins, what I did is I took off the sticker on the back, but it was a little gummy. So I just decided to use the front, like where the words were. And so to cover that up, I gave it a color of plaster color chalk paint just to kind of give it a buffer. And then for the red color, what I'm using is crimson red color chalk paint. This is Waverly. You can get that over at Walmart. And so I gave that a couple of coats of that to make my apples the red color that I like. So I actually painted both sides of the pumpkin so that they would be, completely finished. All right, so for my small window box, what I'm sharing here is I picked up a box of the tumbling tower blocks from Five Below. There are 48 Jenga blocks in here, or tumbling tower blocks. Are much bigger than the ones from the Dollar Tree, and I love to use Jenga blocks for dimension, and so I put a couple of those in the that little box just to give it some height. And so what I was sharing is I get a box of these small E6000 tubes off of Amazon. They're linked in my Amazon favorites because I have a love-hate relationship with E6000, and I just cannot handle the large tube for whatever reason. It dries out, I mess up, it oozes out. So these small E6000 tubes work best for me. All right, so to just real quick, and like I said, I'm just kind of recapping this, but if you want to see in real time, slow motion, how I, paint all of this, look for the video link in the iCard as well as in the description box. All right, so to shade my apples, what I use is my flat paintbrush. It's about 1/2 inch, and I dip half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water, and then I blend on a paper towel, and then I shade around just to give it some depth. All right, so then for the doodling, what I use is what I consider my finishing brush, and I use some buttermilk acrylic paint and just go around and just give it some squiggles and just make it look cute the way that I like to do that. Then I give it some paint splattering. I do black first, and then I go back over it with the buttermilk just to give it the color that I like. Then for the apple kind of like highlight, I just use my round brush just to give it a comma or a swoosh there in the top. Now I'm going to stand one of these pumpkins upright, and then the other one I'm just going to stand on the side. So I will glue the stem on one of them at the top, and then I glue the other one on the side. Now what I'm sharing is I had taken my sanding sponge and just went around each of the apples just to expose a bit of the wood and then just get off any of the dust particles. This is my favorite gloss varnish that I like to use, and you can find that in the craft store, or it is linked in my Amazon favorites if it's something that you would like to have shipped to you. Okay, so then for my frame, like I said, this is a 12 by 12 canvas, and that chicken wire I got from Walmart in the craft section. And so I just take a baby wipe and some antique wax and just go around and give it some color just to distress it a bit. And then this is how that looks. I go on the inside as well as all around the edges, so that everything is covered. And then for my apples, I pulled out this greenery bush that I got from Hobby Lobby, pulling off some of the smaller leaves. And I think that's perfect for the apples. And then I have pulled out some of that green ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree, and then some homespun fabric as well as muslin fabric. I just tore strips of that just to give it that torn edge. And then I'm going to wrap that around the stem. Well, then I remembered, oh no, I want to put some of the Excelsior that I like too. And then also I go back and I tie it, and then I'm like, silly girl, you forgot to put your green ribbon in there. That kind of gives it some texture and just some, just cuteness that I like. And so, yeah, I do make mistakes, I promise. I always have to go back and correct it and that kind of thing. But hey, it's the beauty in the crafting. And so I just cut off a piece of that green ribbon. As I said, I got that from Dollar Tree. And so then I just tie that on so that everything is nice and cute. Once my apples are done, I'm going to work on my window box, and this is the greenery that I also got from Hobby Lobby that I'm using in the window box. So I have glued that to my frame just with E6000 and hot glue. And then what I'm showing here is I just pulled out some styrofoam, and I'm just going to cut that small pieces so that I can stick those greenery stems into so that they're all secure. All right, so for my banner, for my Pickin banner, what I used is some duck cloth that I got from, I can't remember. I've had it for so long, but you can get fabric duck cloth at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Joann's, that kind of thing. And so then I just made me a template and just out of an index card, and this is 2.5 by 1.5. And so the 2.5 is the height of it because I needed it to bend around my sisal twine so that it would be secure. So I cut out the 6 pieces of this, and then I'm going to just use my black Sharpie marker just to hand letter Pickin, and then I'm going to glue that on to my sisal twine. I bend over the top of it so that it is secure. I make sure that when I'm gluing it that my letters are or that my little flag or my little pennant is facing the right way so that when it hangs correctly. I just stuck my greenery in the styrofoam all the way around so that, you know, I like the look. I just love the way that it just looks so whimsy. And then these fall daisies I got from Hobby Lobby, cut off a couple of stems of those and stuck that in there. Just so cute. And then for my banner, what I did is I just tied it where it just hung like that. I just tied that sisal twine at the top. It just made sure that it hung correctly. Now for the time word for my sign, what I used is one of these little chalkboards from Dollar Tree, and then I took off the stick of it because I wanted to glue. It was a little bit too short, so I needed it to stand up a little bit higher. So I just took off the stem, and then not stem, the stick, and then I will, once my word dried, then I just glued it barely in the back so that it would stand up a little bit higher. And then I just tied a couple of strands of homespun fabric as well as the muslin fabric just to kind of mask the stick and just make sure that everything was secure. I just love the way that this turned out. I hope that you do too. I just love my craft and chat sessions with you all where I craft in real time. You can hang out with me, get to know me a little bit more, and chat with me as long as I am live. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your continued support of all of my country crafting. We'll talk to you in the next video. God bless and have a wonderful day.